Hold on. You're about to hear something that could flip your entire world upside down. No, this is not another self-help motivational speech. This is a divine announcement, and if you're ready to receive it, your life will never be the same again. Forget everything you've been told about success, struggle, and survival. This isn't your average message. This is a divine shift, a holy interruption in your life, and it's happening now. You've prayed, you've fought, you've waited, and just when you thought nothing would change, heaven is making its move. The moment you've been waiting for is here, not because of your hustle, not because of your strength, but because God has decided it's your time. And trust me, it's not too late. It's never too late when divine timing is at play. Every tear you cried, every sleepless night, you endured every single battle you fought in silence. God has seen it all. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't wasted. It was all part of His perfect plan. Now get ready, because everything is about to change. Heaven is backing your purpose. God is funding your life in a way you've never imagined. You are no longer under the weight of survival. You are stepping into overflow, divine provision, and supernatural supply. Are you ready to receive it? If you feel the stirring in your spirit. 777 inches in the comments as a prophetic declaration. Let the heavens hear your agreement, because your moment of divine reset is now. You were chosen, and your time is now. All those years of waiting, the countless struggles, the moments where you doubted whether it would ever happen, they weren't in vain. Everything you've been through has led you here. Each setback, each challenge, every tear you thought was wasted has been a divine setup for the breakthrough that is now unfolding before you. God saw your silent battles, the ones no one else knew about. The long nights of anxiety, the days filled with frustration, the moments when you felt like giving up. But here's the truth. Every struggle was preparation. Every failure was positioning you. Every delay wasn't a denial. It was divine redirection. God wasn't punishing you. He was positioning you for this very moment. Your pain didn't go unnoticed. Your prayers weren't unheard. God is faithful to complete the work He started in you. Now it's time to step into the provision He's been preparing for you all along. You've made it through the hardest part. You've been refined, and now you are ready for the abundance that is about to flow into your life. Don't look back. The waiting was never about punishment. It was about preparation. And now the doors that seemed locked are swinging wide open because your breakthrough is here. You're not behind. You've been right where you need to be. And now God is about to reveal everything He's been working on behind the scenes. It's time to step into the overflow. Let's get one thing clear. This is not about your hustle. This is not about how hard you've worked or how much you've strained. It's not about your ability to push beyond limits or grind through the pain. It's about divine timing. It's about God's intervention. And that's what's happening right now in your life, a supernatural shift that goes far beyond anything your strength could ever achieve. You've spent years believing that if you just worked harder, stayed up later, pushed through the exhaustion, that things would fall into place. But the truth is, it was never meant to be about your effort. God has been positioning you, preparing you, and now He is stepping in. The hustle culture has taught you to rely on your own strength, but God is about to show you that when you align with His timing, everything falls into place. You're not being rewarded for your grind. You're being elevated because you were chosen. And now is the time God is ready to provide, bless and back you up in a way you never thought possible. Divine timing means that everything you've gone through, the struggles, the waiting, The moments where it felt like you were losing ground were all part of the preparation for this moment. And this moment is about God's perfect timing, not your schedule, not your plans, but His. You may have doubted it before, but now God is moving. And when He moves, nothing can stop it. It's time to stop striving. It's time to step into the flow of divine provision. This isn't about what you can do. This is about what God is about to do in you, through you, and for you. You've been fighting for far too long, but I've got news for you. The battle is over. The long seasons of struggle, the days when you couldn't see the light, the times when you felt like you were sinking, they've led you to this divine moment. The weight you've carried for so long, the anxiety, the exhaustion, the constant worry, it's lifting. You've paid the price, you fought the fight, and now you're stepping into a new season. A season where provision is no longer something you have to chase down. This is the season where it chases you. All those sleepless nights, they weren't in vain. All the times you were uncertain, questioning if God had forgotten you, they were part of the plan. God was preparing you for this breakthrough. He was molding your character, refining your faith, and now He's about to bless you in ways you never imagined. What you're about to experience is not just relief, it's supernatural provision. It's not just about things getting easier. It's about God opening the floodgates of heaven and pouring out blessings that go beyond your wildest expectations. God is about to fund your life, not because of your effort, but because of His perfect timing. The doors that were closed are now opening wide. The resources you've been lacking are now flowing freely. You're entering a new dimension, one where you no longer have to struggle to survive. The hustle and grind you've been accustomed to, it's over. God is replacing your sweat and tears with grace and abundance. This is your divine reset. No more lack, no more scarcity, no more struggle. The God who provided for the Israelites in the wilderness is the same God who is providing for you in your journey. Get ready to walk into a new season of abundance where every step you take will be met with divine favor. The past struggles, they were nothing more than preparation for the overflow you're about to walk into. You've been faithful, you've endured, and now God is making all things new. Welcome to your new season. Welcome to your supernatural provision. Every tear, every battle, and every challenge you faced was not just a random part of your journey. They were the very building blocks that God has been using to prepare you for what is coming next. You've been in the fire, but you were never meant to burn out. You were meant to be refined, shaped, and made stronger by the heat of those struggles, so that when this moment came, you would be ready to walk into the fullness of what God has prepared for you. Every tear you shed was seen. Every time you faced a trial, every moment of weakness, every time you asked, "Why is this happening to me?" God was watching. And more importantly, He was working. He wasn't allowing those things to break you. He was allowing them to mold you, to shape your character, to strengthen your faith, and to prepare you for the breakthrough that is now unfolding before you. Think about it. The mountains you've climbed, the valleys you've walked, through the obstacles you faced, they were never meaningless. They were never just something you had to endure. No, they were part of the process of divine preparation. God used every battle to prepare you for the destiny that has been waiting for you all along. God has a divine purpose for your life, and He has been aligning everything to His perfect will. All of those struggles, those moments when you didn't think you could go on, were not signs of God's abandonment. They were signs of God's preparation. He's been positioning you, shaping you, and getting you ready for this very season. The truth is, God's timing is always perfect. You may have thought that your prayers were unanswered, that the breakthrough was delayed, but in reality, God was waiting for the perfect moment to release his provision in your life. You see, he wasn't waiting for you to be perfect in your own strength. He was waiting for you to become ready to receive everything he has planned for you. You've been in the furnace of affliction, but you've come out stronger. You've learned to trust when it seemed impossible, to keep going when you felt like giving up. Those are the qualities that God has been refining in you. It's not about your own strength. It's about the strength he has instilled in you through each hardship, each trial, and every moment you thought you couldn't make it. The struggle you've endured, the pain you've carried, it was never in vain. Every time you thought it was too much, every time you wanted to throw in the towel, God was there strengthening your spirit and preparing you for what you are about to receive. It wasn't about you pushing harder or striving more. It was about God preparing your heart, your mind, and your spirit for this moment. Now, it's time for you to realize something powerful. You are entering a new season. The season of struggle, of striving, of fighting for every little thing. You're walking out of it. God is calling you into a new season of supernatural provision, where everything you need is supplied, not because of your effort, but because of his divine timing. This is not just about survival anymore. This is about thriving. This is about overflow. The days of scraping by, of wondering where your next breakthrough will come from, are over. You've been prepared, and now God is going to bless you in ways you can't even imagine. His provision is supernatural. It's not tied to your job, your bank account, or your resources. It's tied to his power and his promises. God has already provided everything you need. It's all been arranged, and now you are stepping into the season where everything is going to flow freely. You won't have to fight for it anymore. You won't have to stress or worry about how it's all going to work out. God's provision will be abundant, overflowing in every area of your life, spiritually, emotionally, financially, and relationally. And here's the kicker. This provision isn't because you've been perfect. It's not because you've worked harder than everyone else, or because you deserve it more. It's because of God's grace, his favor, and his divine timing. He's about to show up in your life in ways you've never experienced. And when he does, you'll realize that every struggle, every tear, every moment you thought you couldn't make it was simply a part of his perfect plan to prepare you for the overflow you're about to experience. So don't look back. The struggle is over. It's time for your divine reset. You're walking into the season where you'll finally understand what it means to be truly blessed, not because of what you did, but because of who God is and what he has already provided for you. It's time to step into the fullness of his provision, and you're ready because he's made you ready. You've endured, you've stood strong, and now God is about to bless you with what you've been waiting for. You've been looking in all the wrong places for provision. You've trusted in your own strength, depended on the approval of others, worked tirelessly, thinking that your success or your security depended on your job, your bank account, or the people around you. But I have news for you. Your provision has never been tied to your effort, your relationships, or your resources. God is your provider, not your boss, not the bank, not even the people who have promised to help. Your provision comes from heaven alone. For too long, you've believed the lie that your success or your security depends on the right connections, the right job, the right bank balance. But God is about to show you that when he steps in, everything changes. You don't need to rely on anyone or anything but him. This isn't about luck. It's not about strategy. And it's certainly not about your own grind. This is about God moving in your life in ways that no person can take credit for. When heaven is your provider, nothing is impossible. The resources you need don't come from your network. They come from the Creator of the universe. Why has God allowed you to experience delay? Why have the doors seemed closed for so long? It was because He wanted you to realize this truth. He's been your provider all along. Every job, every connection, every financial breakthrough, every moment of provision you've experienced, it's been Him, not anyone else. And here's the thing. When God provides, it's not temporary. It's not a paycheck that you have to earn every month. It's a supernatural supply that never runs out. God's provision is abundant. It's overflowing, and it's designed to carry you through, not just today, but for the entire journey ahead. You're stepping into a season where you won't have to worry about running out. No more struggling to make ends meet. No more panic over the next bill. God is shifting your mindset from survival to abundance. You are not relying on the world system anymore. You're relying on the kingdom of God, and that kingdom has unlimited resources. You've been looking for provision from the wrong places. Banks don't own your blessing. People don't control your destiny. God has already set aside everything you need for your future. And now it's time for you to walk into it. The resources, the wisdom, the opportunities, they're coming from God. It's time to stop looking to people for validation and provision, and start trusting that when you align with God's will, everything you need will be provided. The best part, you don't have to beg for it. You don't have to strive. You don't have to make it happen on your own. God is already working on your behalf, and He's about to pour out supernatural provision into your life in ways that are going to make you wonder how it ever seemed impossible. God is your provider, not your bank, not your job, and definitely not your network. He's the one who opens doors that no man can shut, and He's the one who brings favor and opportunity when it seems like there's no way out. So stop relying on the world to give you what only God can provide. Step into the supernatural provision He has for you. God is your provider, and when He's backing you up, you can expect provision to chase you down wherever you go. When God provides, it's not just enough to get by. It's overflowing, unshakable, and undeniable. You are about to experience provision like you've never known. Watch as God opens doors, moves mountains, and supplies every need according to His riches and glory. Philippians 4:19. It's time to stop striving. The endless running, the constant push to prove yourself, the feeling that you have to work harder. Hustle more and do everything yourself. It's over. The truth you need to embrace right now is this. You are no longer in a season of struggle. You are stepping into a season of grace. For so long, you've believed the lie that success and provision come only through your relentless effort. You've pushed yourself to the limit, thinking that if you didn't work harder, hustle more, or keep grinding, everything would fall apart. But God is calling you to stop. Stop striving. Stop exhausting yourself. Stop trying to carry the weight on your own. Grace is stepping in, and where grace steps in, everything changes. You're no longer carrying the load. It's being lifted off of you. The pressure, the anxiety, the burden of feeling like you have to be the one to make everything happen, it's all being removed. God is about to carry you in ways you never imagined. This isn't about doing more. It's about receiving more. You've been striving for so long, and it's time to realize that God has already provided everything you need. You've been working in your own strength, but now it's time to rely on His strength. You've been pushing and forcing, but now now it's time to rest in His grace. The difference is clear. Striving wears you down. It makes you tired, anxious, and frustrated because you're constantly fighting against the current, trying to swim upstream. But grace carries you. Grace lifts you up. It's like a mighty river that flows effortlessly, taking you where you need to go without you having to fight for it. You've been in a season of survival, but now you are moving into a season of thriving, where God's grace sustains you. You no longer have to struggle for every breakthrough, every opportunity, every blessing. Grace will bring it to you. My grace is sufficient for you, God says, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. You've been trying to make it on your own, but now it's time to let God's power do what your strength never could. Your striving couldn't open the doors you needed to walk through. Your efforts couldn't bring the provision you were hoping for. But grace will open those doors effortlessly. Grace will bring the provision you need without the struggle. The shift has already happened. The moment you decide to stop striving and lean into grace, you'll see the supernatural flow of God's provision. Doors that seemed closed will open without you having to knock. Opportunities that were once out of reach will come to you. And the peace you've been searching for in all your effort, it will surround you, because grace doesn't just provide, it brings rest. It's time to step into the unforced rhythms of grace. The struggle is over. The grind is over. You don't have to fight for what's already yours in Christ. God has already provided it all, and now He is carrying you into the abundant life He promised you. This is a season of God's grace, unearned, unmerited, and overflowing. You are stepping out of survival mode and into the flow of God's supernatural provision, where you are carried by His grace, not by your effort. And let me tell you, when you are carried by grace, there's no limit to what God can do in your life. You've been asking, why the delays? Why the closed doors? Why the opportunities that slipped through my fingers? You thought it was rejection. You thought it was God's punishment, or maybe your own failure. But the truth is far more powerful than that. The closed doors and delays you faced were never rejections. They were divine redirections. God wasn't turning you away. He wasn't saying no to you. What He was doing was saying not yet, and redirecting your path towards something better, something greater. Every single time you thought the opportunity was slipping away, God was positioning you for the right moment. Think about it. Every closed door, the job you didn't get, the relationship that didn't work out, the plan that fell apart wasn't an obstacle. It was a setup. God knew that if you walked through that door, you wouldn't be in the position you needed to be in. The timing wasn't right. God had a better plan. And now that plan is about to unfold in a way you never saw coming. You've been knocked down, but you weren't knocked out. Every time it felt like you were being pushed back, God was pulling you forward. Every time you thought it was the end of the road, God was turning you in the direction of your destiny. The delays were not signs of defeat. They were God's way of perfecting His timing in your life. What feels like rejection is really protection. God's no is always for your good. Every time a door closed, He was shielding you from something you weren't ready for, something that wouldn't serve your destiny. Every delay was a divine appointment for something greater that was waiting for you just around the corner. You may have thought you were stuck. You may have felt left behind. But God was never late. He was always right on time, orchestrating events and setting the stage for your breakthrough. Your rejection wasn't a punishment. It was a redirection. The opportunities that passed you by, the doors that slammed shut, they weren't meant to be a part of your story. And now, as you look back, you'll see that God was always one step ahead. It's time to stop mourning what didn't happen. Stop asking why things didn't work out. God's way was always better. He was positioning you for something far greater, far more aligned with your purpose. The opportunities ahead of you will not be like the ones that passed you by. They'll be the right ones. Remember, delays are not denials. The time you thought you were wasting was actually the time God was using to perfect you, to prepare you, and to align everything you need for this moment. The breakthrough you're about to experience is a direct result of all the things that didn't work out. Trust the process. Trust that God knew exactly what He was doing all along. Every no, every closed door, every delay was a redirection to something far greater than you could have imagined. And now, as you walk into this new season, you'll see that it wasn't a rejection. It was a positioning. You weren't left behind. You were being set up for success. And now, God is opening doors that no man can shut. The right doors. The doors of your destiny. Stop doubting. Stop wondering if you're too late, if you've missed your shot, or if God has forgotten you. I know you've had moments where you've questioned everything. You've asked, why is it taking so long? Why am I still waiting? But let me tell you, this God's plan for your life is flawless, and His timing is always perfect, even when you can't see it, even when it feels like nothing is happening. I get it. You've been praying. You've been waiting. You've been striving. It's easy to get frustrated when things don't move as quickly as you think they should. But doubting God's plan only delays the blessing that's already on its way. Every time you question His timing, you're missing the beauty of the moment you're in right now. God is working behind the scenes. He's preparing you, positioning you, and getting everything ready for your breakthrough. And you're closer than you think. Think about the times when you've tried to rush ahead, when you thought you knew better than God, or when you tried to take matters into your own hands. Did it ever work out the way you planned? Or did it lead to frustration, exhaustion, and regret? God's plan is better than anything you could have orchestrated on your own. And His timing is always better than your timing. It's easy to doubt when things aren't happening on your schedule. But remember, God isn't bound by time. He doesn't operate according to your clock. He operates according to perfect timing, His perfect timing. The time that will bring you the maximum blessing, the best of opportunities, and the deepest growth. When God's plan unfolds, it's never a moment too soon or too late, it's right on time. If you feel like you're waiting, don't waste that time doubting. Use it to grow to trust, to prepare for what's coming. Trust that God sees the whole picture. He sees things you can't see. He knows things you don't know. And He has been aligning everything just for you. Every delay, every no, every unexpected turn in your life was part of His plan to bring you to this exact moment to prepare you for the blessings He's about to pour into your life. You don't have to know the details of how it's going to unfold. God has it all figured out. And the more you trust, the more you lean into His timing, the more you surrender to His perfect plan, the sooner you'll begin to see the fruit of His faithfulness. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are right where God needs you to be, and He is working things out in ways you can't even imagine. So stop doubting His plan. Stop doubting His timing. It's all in His hands, and His hands are more than capable of bringing it all together for you. Believe it, the wait is over. The time has come for God's promises to be fulfilled in your life, and when it happens, it will be beyond anything you could have ever planned for yourself. Trust Him. His plan is perfect, and His timing it's always right, on time. When I talk about God's provision, I'm not just talking about money. That's only a small piece of the bigger picture. God's overflow isn't just about financial blessing. It's about everything you need to thrive. It's about healing when your soul is weary, wisdom when you feel lost, peace when you're anxious, and favor when doors seem to stay closed. God's provision is comprehensive. It covers every aspect of your life. Healing for your heart, wisdom for your decisions, peace for your mind, and favor to open doors that you thought were locked forever. God's overflow isn't just a blessing, it's a complete package. Do you need healing? God is the ultimate healer. He doesn't just heal the body, He heals the spirit, the mind, and the broken places in your soul that no one else can touch. Whether it's emotional wounds, trauma, or physical illness, God's healing power is available to you. His provision of healing is part of the overflow He's about to pour into your life. What about wisdom? Maybe you've been in a season where you felt like you were making decisions in the dark, constantly unsure of your next move. God's provision includes wisdom, divine insight that will guide you through the most complicated situations. He's about to give you clarity answers to questions you've been wrestling with, strategies for the challenges ahead. God's wisdom is a supernatural provision that will bring understanding where there's confusion. And then there's peace. How long have you been carrying the weight of stress, anxiety, and fear? God's provision includes peace, a peace that surpasses all understanding that guards your heart and mind. In Christ Jesus, Philippians 4:7. You don't have to live in chaos anymore. God is releasing a supernatural peace into your life right now. He will calm your fears, settle your worries, and allow you to rest, knowing that He has it all under control. But that's not all. God's overflow also includes favor. Favor opens doors that no one else can open. Favor connects you with the right people at the right time. Favor causes things to work out in your favor, even when circumstances don't make sense. It's God's supernatural power at work in your life, causing things to fall into place effortlessly. This isn't just about survival. This is about thriving in every area of your life. God's divine overflow will fill every gap, heal every hurt, and open doors that you couldn't imagine were possible. It's about more than money. It's about being equipped to live the life God has called you to live. You are stepping into a season of divine overflow, where God's provision isn't just for one area of your life, but for everything you need. His provision will touch your health, your relationships, your finances, and your peace. When God provides, He provides it all. And it's coming to you now. This is your season to experience complete restoration. Everything that's been lacking is about to be filled by the overflow of God's goodness. Get ready, because the floodgates are opening, and everything you need is being released to you now. For so long, you've been living with a mindset of scarcity. You've been constantly worried about what you don't have, what's missing, and how you're going to make ends meet. You've been calculating every move, adjusting every decision based on the fear that there's never enough. But listen carefully. That mindset is about to be broken, and you are stepping into a new season. A season where abundance, not scarcity, will define your life. The shift from scarcity to abundance doesn't just happen overnight. It's a change in how you see the world and how you see your place in it. You've been focused on what you don't have and what's out of reach. But now, God is shifting your vision from what's missing to what's already been provided. He's about to open your eyes to the overflow that's already around you and waiting for you to step into it. No more living in fear. No more living as if you have to hoard scrape or fight for every little thing. That's the old way. The new way is living with the confident assurance that God has already provided everything you need, and more than enough is available to you. You're stepping out of a survival mentality into a mindset of abundance where God is not just meeting your needs, He's overflowing them. What does abundance look like? It's not just about money. It's about peace when there was anxiety. It's about joy when there was sorrow. It's about healing when there was pain. Abundance means your needs will be met in every area of your life, spiritually, emotionally, financially, and relationally. It means that God will provide for you, not just enough to get by, but more than enough to thrive. You are no longer bound by limitation. You are stepping into a reality where there is more than enough to go around. This shift from scarcity to abundance is not just a financial change, it's a spiritual awakening. It's a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing yourself, and a new way of relating to the world around you. You will no longer be bound by fear or by what you lack, but you will live freely in the abundance that God has promised. God is about to move you from the place of scraping by to a place where you have so much you'll be able to bless others. He is releasing a supernatural provision that will cover every area of your life. This isn't just about a small increase, this is overflow. This is the abundance that comes when you realize that God is your source and there's nothing too big for Him to provide. No more shrinking back. No more fear of not having enough. No more doubting that God will supply your needs. Abundance is your new normal. Your perspective has been changed, and as you align with God's abundant provision, everything in your life will begin to reflect that truth. This isn't just about material wealth. It's about living in the fullness of God's promises. It's about experiencing peace when everything around you seems uncertain, joy in the middle of difficulty, and unshakable confidence that you are never alone. God is moving you from a place of lack to a place where you are overflowing with His blessings, His favor, His grace, and His provision. The time of scarcity is over. You are now walking into a season of abundance where God will supply your needs in ways that far exceed anything you could imagine. Get ready, because the shift is happening now. Your life is about to be marked by abundance in every area. This is your new season, and it's full of everything God has promised you. Do you ever feel like the odds are stacked against you? Like the task before you is impossible? Like everything you're trying to rebuild is crumbling down around you? If so, then I want you to think about Nehemiah. His story is a perfect example of how God's favor can make the impossible possible. Nehemiah was a man who found himself in a desperate situation. He was living in exile, far from home in the city of Jerusalem. The place of his ancestors was lying in ruins. The walls of the city, once strong and protecting the people of God, were broken down, and the people were vulnerable. Everything seemed lost. The task of rebuilding the walls seemed impossible. But Nehemiah didn't give up. He prayed, and God gave him a vision, a burden to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Nehemiah was just a servant to the king. He had no resources, no army, and no influence to get this done. Yet despite all the odds, Nehemiah's faith moved mountains, and God's divine favor was poured out in impossible circumstances. When Nehemiah went before the king to ask for permission to rebuild the walls, it wasn't just a simple request. The king had no obligation to help him, and there was a real risk of Nehemiah's request being seen as treasonous. But Nehemiah found favor with the king, and the king not only granted him permission, he also gave him resources, letters of protection, and official support to complete the project. This is what divine favor looks like. God doesn't just open doors for you. He opens doors that seem impossible to open. Nehemiah didn't have the resources, but God gave him favor with the king. Nehemiah didn't have an army, but God gave him favor with the people to rise up and build together. In the same way, God is positioning you for favor, even in impossible situations. When you feel like you don't have what you need, don't despair. God's favor can bring you everything you need, just like He did for Nehemiah. You may not have the resources, you may not have the connections, but if God has called you to it, He will provide the way. When you walk in God's favor, even the most impossible obstacles become stepping stones. What looks like an insurmountable wall can turn into a doorway of opportunity. God's favor is bigger than your circumstances, and it can turn rejection into approval failure, into success, and impossibility into reality. Nehemiah's story shows us that no matter how impossible the situation, God is faithful to provide divine favor at the exact moment it's needed. His favor doesn't follow human logic. It doesn't follow your resume, your background, or your bank account. It follows God's calling and His perfect timing. If you're facing an impossible situation today, don't underestimate the power of God's favor. What Nehemiah accomplished in a seemingly hopeless situation, God can do for you. You're not alone in your journey, and favor is already being positioned in your life for the breakthrough you've been praying for. Like Nehemiah, you will see God's divine favor make what once seemed impossible suddenly possible. There's a shift happening in your life right now. You've spent so much time just trying to survive, getting by day after day, struggling to make ends meet, and wondering if things will ever change. But God is about to move you from survival mode to thriving mode. And it's not just about the blessings. He's about to pour into your life. It's about the responsibility that comes with them. This is the shift from surviving to stewarding God's blessings. You see, God never intended for you to just survive. He's called you to thrive. He didn't create you to merely exist to get by in life, but to live in constant scarcity. He created you for abundance, for fulfillment, and for a purpose that impacts the world around you. But thriving is not just about receiving, it's about stewarding. Stewardship means taking care of what God has entrusted to you. It's about managing His blessings with wisdom, gratitude, and responsibility. When God blesses you, it's not just for your enjoyment, it's for His kingdom and His glory. Stewarding His blessings means aligning your actions with His purpose, using what you have to bless others, and managing everything you receive with the awareness that it all belongs to Him. The transition from surviving to thriving is not just about abundance in material things. It's about thriving in your purpose, your relationships, your spiritual walk, and your emotional health. God is about to provide you with more than you can imagine. But with that increase comes a greater responsibility. You are called to be a steward of what He gives you. Are you ready for that responsibility? Because it's not just about the blessing. It's about how you handle it, how you grow from it, and how you use it to honor God. When God entrusts you with resources, whether it's money, opportunities, time, or talent, He's testing your heart. He's watching to see if you'll manage those blessings wisely with a heart that is grateful and willing to share with others. Surviving is about focusing on your needs, scrambling to make sure you're okay. Thriving is about focusing on how to give, how to serve, how to be a blessing to those around you. When you thrive, you move beyond just surviving. You move into a place where you can bless others. You don't just receive. You become a conduit for others to experience God's goodness too. Think about the parable of the talents in Matthew 25. The master gave each servant a sum of money, each according to their ability. When he returned, he didn't just ask if they had survived with what they had been given. He asked if they had stewarded it well. The servant who doubled his talents was rewarded and entrusted with even more. The one who hid his talent was reprimanded. Why? Because God cares about how we steward what He gives us. God doesn't want you to just survive. He wants you to thrive. But He wants you to thrive with purpose, with responsibility, and with a heart of generosity. When you shift into thriving mode, you're no longer just focused on getting by. You're focused on using everything you have to bring glory to God and to bless those around you. This is the shift you've been waiting for. The time of scraping by, of struggling just to survive, is over. God is ready to bless you abundantly, but He is also calling you to steward those blessings with wisdom and trust. Stewardship and trust go hand in hand. As God increases your capacity to thrive, He's also calling you to trust Him with what you have, because the more you trust Him, the more He will trust you with. God is shifting you into a new level of responsibility. The blessings that He's about to pour into your life are not just for you to hoard. They're meant to flow through you to others to fulfill His kingdom purpose. This is not about living in scarcity anymore. It's about living in abundance and managing that abundance with the wisdom and faithfulness God has called you to. The shift from surviving to thriving is more than a change in circumstances. It's a shift in mindset. It's about moving from a mindset of fear and scarcity to a mindset of faith and abundance, and then stewarding that abundance with grace, humility, and trust in God's perfect plan. So get ready. God is about to bless you in ways you can't even imagine. But those blessings come with the responsibility to use them for His glory. This is the season where you step into your divine calling to thrive, not just for yourself, but for the world around you. You are being entrusted with much, and God is calling you to steward it wisely. You've got a vision. You've got a dream. But let's be honest, sometimes it feels like everything is working against you. You've faced obstacles that seemed insurmountable, challenges that threatened to derail your purpose. So many times you've thought, what if this vision isn't meant to be? What if it's too big? Too bold, too impossible? But here's the truth. Your belief in that vision and your faith in God's purpose for your life are the very things that will carry you through every challenge. Believing in the vision God has given you isn't always easy. The road will be tough, and it's easy to get discouraged when things don't go as planned. But remember, this God's purpose for you is unshakable, even when the world around you is crumbling. Your faith in His plan doesn't depend on the circumstances. It depends on trusting that God is bigger than every obstacle that comes your way. Faith is not about seeing the end result. It's about trusting God, even when you can't see how things will work out. Faith isn't just about walking in smooth, open paths. True faith is about trusting in God's purpose even when the path seems blocked, the road is unclear, and the destination feels far away. It's trusting that God is working in ways you can't yet see. Think about the many times throughout Scripture when God asked people to believe in the impossible. Abraham was asked to leave everything behind and trust that God had a plan for his future, even when everything looked uncertain. Moses faced the impossible task of freeing the Israelites from Pharaoh's grip, yet God asked him to trust and believe even when he couldn't see the way. Joseph was betrayed, thrown into a pit, and unjustly imprisoned, but he believed that God had a purpose, and in the end, he became the one who saved nations. You are no different. God has placed a vision inside of you that is bigger than your circumstances, bigger than the challenges you face. The bigger the vision, the harder the opposition will be. But don't let the obstacles shake your faith. They're part of the process, part of the refining part of the test, of whether you'll hold on to God's purpose no matter how difficult the journey. Belief in the vision doesn't mean everything will be smooth sailing. It means that even when things get tough, you keep trusting. You keep believing, you keep moving forward with the knowledge that God's purpose for you will not fail. Every setback, every closed door, every challenge you face is not a sign that you're not on the right path. It's a sign that God is refining you, preparing you, and making sure you're ready to handle the fullness of His purpose for you. You have to believe in that vision with everything in you, even when it seems like all the odds are against you. You have to trust that God's purpose for you will always prevail, no matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult it gets. God has a plan, and His plan will never fail. He will never leave you or forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:6, and His purpose for you will be fulfilled. When challenges come, when doubts creep in, remember why you started. Remember that the vision God placed in your heart wasn't a mistake. And when the obstacles come, don't focus on them. Focus on the God who is bigger than every single one of those obstacles. Keep your faith anchored in His purpose and believe that He is working even when you don't see it. The vision will come to pass. God's purpose will be fulfilled in your life. Keep believing, keep trusting, and keep walking by faith, because what God has started in you, He will finish. Your belief in His vision and your faith in His purpose will lead you through every challenge and straight into His divine promise for your life. The invitation is clear. Right now, you're being invited to release the fear that has held you back for far too long and step into the divine flow of provision that God is ready to pour into your life. Fear has been your constant companion. Fear of not having enough, fear of failing, fear of the unknown. But God is calling you to let it go. The chains of fear are no longer meant to bind you. It's time to step into the freedom that comes with trusting in God's provision. You've spent enough time worrying about whether you'll make it. You've calculated every risk over thought, every decision, and let fear dictate your every move. But here's the truth. God's provision is not limited by your fears. It's not dependent on your ability to make it happen or your efforts to control every detail. His provision flows from a place of grace, not fear. And it's time to step into that flow. The moment you decide to release fear, God's abundant provision starts to flow freely in your life. Fear has kept you in survival mode, where you've been operating out of scarcity and lack. But God's divine provision operates in overflow and abundance, in a flow that never runs dry. When you release fear, you open the floodgates for God's provision to come in, to fill every area of your life with blessing, favor, and peace. You've been holding on so tightly to the fear that you might not have enough, that there won't be enough time, or that things won't work out. But God is inviting you to trust Him completely, to surrender the control, and step into a life where you move with the flow of His divine provision. Imagine living without fear, without constantly worrying about whether you're making the right choice, or whether there's enough money in the bank, or whether you're doing enough to achieve your dreams. God doesn't want you to live in that kind of tension anymore. He's calling you to embrace His provision, to trust that everything you need is already provided. It's waiting for you in the flow of His will. The divine flow of provision doesn't come with strings attached. It's not about earning it. It's not about making sure you're perfect or doing everything right. It's about trusting that God will provide no matter what your circumstances look like. God has already promised to take care of you, to meet every need, to give you the wisdom, the resources, the people, and the favor you need to thrive. But you must release the fear that keeps you from stepping into that reality. The fear of not having enough, the fear of the future, the fear of being inadequate. These fears only keep you stuck. When you embrace God's divine flow, you trust that His provision is limitless and that you don't have to chase it. You don't have to work harder to prove yourself. You don't have to scramble for every blessing. You just have to walk in trust, knowing that the flow of God's provision will meet you every step of the way. God is inviting you into a new way of living a life of peace, abundance, and trust. A life where fear no longer dictates your choices, where your trust in His provision leads you into new opportunities, new relationships, and greater peace. This is the divine flow where your needs are met, your heart is at rest, and you're aligned with the very source of all provision, God Himself. Release fear. Step into the divine flow of provision. Trust that God will provide everything you need at exactly the right time, in exactly the right way. Your future is secure in His hands, and His flow of provision will never run dry. The moment you let go of fear, you will experience the abundance and peace that only God can provide. It's time to move from scarcity to abundance, from worry to trust. Embrace the divine flow and watch as God's provision overflows in every area of your life. This is your invitation to live with unshakable confidence, to walk each day knowing that everything you need is already provided for you by God. No more scrambling, no more worrying. You are stepping into the divine flow of provision, a life where you don't just survive, but thrive in the abundance that God has already set aside for you. When you live in alignment with God's provision, you move through life with peace, knowing that God will supply all your needs according to His riches in glory. Philippians 4:19. This isn't about you striving to make things happen. This is about trusting that everything you need is already in the hands of the one who knows exactly what you need when you need it and how you'll receive it. Imagine walking through each day knowing that your needs, whether financial, emotional, relational, or spiritual, are already met. That's what it looks like to live in alignment with God's divine provision. It means trusting that you don't have to chase what is already yours. You don't have to struggle or force things to happen. God's provision flows effortlessly when you align with His purpose for your life. Alignment means trusting that God will provide in ways you can't yet see, in ways that might even surprise you. When you walk confidently in this truth, it shifts the way you approach everything. You start to live with a sense of peace, knowing that God is in control and that He will meet you at every point of need. This is living by faith, walking in divine trust, and surrendering to God's will. You're not pushing for what's not meant for you, and you're not forcing open doors that God hasn't opened. Instead, you're flowing in sync with His plan, trusting that every step you take will bring you closer to the blessings that are already set aside for you. Living in alignment means that you no longer carry the burden of figuring everything out on your own. God is your provider, and when you align with His will, you're guaranteed to be exactly where you need to be. You trust that your needs are not a burden to God. They are an opportunity for Him to show His goodness and faithfulness. When you walk in alignment with divine provision, there's a freedom that comes from knowing you don't have to perform, struggle, or strive. You can rest in the assurance that God's provision will meet you at every turn. Your confidence comes from the fact that you are not relying on your own strength to make things happen. You're trusting in God's unshakable promise to provide. every day as an opportunity to walk in this confidence, to let go of the worry, the fear, and the uncertainty, and simply rest in the knowledge that God is already meeting your needs. It's like letting go of the oars and allowing yourself to drift downstream in the current of God's will, trusting that the flow of divine provision will carry you where you need to go. This is the life God has designed for you, a life of rest, trust, and divine flow, a life where your needs are met, your heart is at peace, and your purpose is aligned with God's eternal plan. Are you ready to step into that life? It's already yours. All you have to do is align your heart, mind, and actions with God's will. And watch as He meets you in every area of your life with provision, favor, and grace. Live in alignment with His divine flow, and you will never want for anything again. Divine favor isn't a one-time blessing. It's meant to be a permanent fixture in your life. What if I told you that living in God's favor is your new normal? That from this moment forward, you could expect doors to open in ways that don't make sense, opportunities to find you effortlessly, and resources to flow to you when you least expect them. Favor isn't about luck. It's about God's hand of blessing on your life, drawing what you need when you need it and aligning everything in your favor. God's favor doesn't follow the world's system. It transcends human logic. It doesn't depend on your connections, your performance, or your worthiness. It's a gift that opens doors, accelerates your journey, and places you exactly where you need to be. Divine favor becomes a natural part of your life when you live aligned with God's will. Once you begin to understand that favor is your inheritance as a child of God, you stop looking for it. You start living in it. Opportunities will chase you down, not because you're seeking them out, but because God is ordering your steps and guiding you into the right places at the right time. Think about it. Favor brings opportunities to you that you could never create for yourself. It gives you access to the right people at the right time. People who will open doors, offer help, or provide support when you need it most. You won't have to knock on doors that are meant to stay closed. Instead, you'll find that doors are opening before you even have to knock. God is making a way where there seems to be no way, and favor will draw the right resources and relationships to your life. Divine favor shifts the way you see challenges too. Where the world sees obstacles, you see opportunities for God's favor to move in your life. It doesn't matter what stands in your way. With God's favor, you will always find a way through over or around the challenge. Your faith, aligned with God's favor, creates a pathway where others see roadblocks. It's time to stop waiting for opportunities to come to you on their own. Walk in favor and watch how opportunities start to align with you. When you carry the favor of God, your life will no longer be defined by what you lack or what's difficult. Instead, it will be marked by what is abundantly provided for you by what is brought to you, and by the doors that swing wide open without you even asking. The more you trust in God's favor, the more you'll see that it is drawing resources to you, not just money, but favor in relationships, in health, in wisdom, and in every area that matters to you. It's not about chasing after these things. It's about letting God's favor chase you down. And when that favor moves in your life, it not only blesses you, but it empowers you to be a blessing to others. God's favor on your life is not a temporary thing. It's a permanent reality for those who trust in His plan and walk in obedience. You're no longer living in a season of lack. You are living in a season of overflow, where favor leads you to places of growth, expansion, and abundance. So get ready. Expect favor to find you at every turn. Expect opportunities to manifest in ways that defy logic and expect resources to come from unexpected places. Divine favor will become your new normal, and it will draw everything you need into your life. It's time to step forward with boldness. No more hesitation, no more second guessing, no more shrinking back. God has called you to a purpose, and it's time to walk in that purpose with unwavering confidence, speaking and acting in alignment with His divine plan for your life. Boldness begins with knowing who you are in Christ. When you understand that you are a child of God and that His power resides in you, fear has no place in your heart. God has given you everything you need to fulfill His calling. The confidence to move forward doesn't come from your own strength. It comes from knowing that God is with you every step of the way, empowering you to do what He's called you to do. When you speak with the authority of God, and when you act with the power of His Spirit moving through you. Speaking boldly doesn't mean being loud or brash. It means speaking with the assurance that what God has placed inside of you is truth, that His message is worthy, and that His purpose for your life is unstoppable. It means speaking in faith even when you don't have all the answers. The enemy will try to silence you, to make you doubt your voice, but God has equipped you to speak life, hope, and power. When you align your words with His truth, you're declaring His will in the world around you. But speaking boldly isn't enough. You must act boldly. Faith without action is dead. James 2:26. And God is calling you to move forward to take that first step, even if you don't see the entire picture. It's about stepping out of your comfort zone, leaving behind the fear of failure, and embracing the risk that comes with trusting God's plan. God doesn't need your perfection. He needs your obedience. He doesn't need you to have it all figured out. He needs you to trust Him and move in faith. Boldness is about taking action even when the path seems unclear, because you know that God is already ahead of you, clearing the way, guiding you toward your purpose. When you move forward with boldness, you walk in alignment with God's calling. You trust His direction, His timing, and His provision. You no longer rely on your own understanding, but trust that God is working in you and through you to accomplish His will. And as you speak and act in alignment with God's calling, you'll begin to see His hand move in ways you never imagined. It's time to speak boldly. Declare God's promises over your life, over your family, over your future. Speak words of faith, not fear. Proclaim that you are more than a conqueror, Romans 8:37, and that God's plan for you is filled with hope and purpose, Jeremiah 29:11. Let your words reflect the truth that God has called you to greatness and that His favor is upon you. It's time to act boldly. Don't wait for the perfect moment to step out. Now trusting that God is already making a way for you. Boldness is taking that first step, knowing that God will meet you with every step you take. His calling on your life is clear. It's time to move forward with confidence and trust, knowing that you are walking in the fullness of His purpose for you. Boldness is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting in the one who has them. So move forward, speak and act in alignment with God's calling, and watch as He opens doors, paves the way, and empowers you to do what you never thought possible. This is your time to rise up, to take hold of the calling God has placed on your life, and to walk confidently into the future He has prepared for you. It's time to step into the divine flow of provision that God has already set before you. Every need you have, every dream you carry, every step you take, God has already provided for it. There is nothing you lack when you align with His purpose for your life. This is the moment for you to walk confidently in His divine provision, trusting that everything you need will be supplied according to his riches in glory. Philippians 4:19. Living in alignment with divine provision means trusting that God's plan is greater than anything you can accomplish on your own. No more striving, no more fear of not having enough. God is your provider, and when you align with him, his provision flows freely into every area of your life. You don't need to force it, chase it, or worry about where it will come from. It's already provided. This is about walking in confidence, knowing that God has already secured your future, and you simply need to trust his timing and provision. God has already made a way, and as you step into that flow, you will see his provision overflow in every area of your life, from your finances to your relationships to your purpose. Divine favor is not a rare occurrence. It's meant to be your everyday reality. When you align with God's will and trust in his provision, favor will follow you like a shadow. Favor isn't just something you receive. Occasionally, it becomes a consistent, normal part of your life. God's favor opens doors that no one can shut, and it draws resources and opportunities to you in ways that don't make sense in the natural world. Think about how God moved in the lives of his people throughout Scripture. Joseph, despite being betrayed and imprisoned, found favor wherever he went, and through that favor, he became the ruler of Egypt and was able to save nations. Esther, a humble orphan girl, found favor with the king and saved her people. David, a young shepherd, was anointed king and found favor with God in all his battles. This same divine favor is available to you. When you walk in alignment with God's will, favor will find you at every turn, drawing the right people, resources, and opportunities into your life. God's favor doesn't depend on your efforts. It depends on his goodness and your willingness to trust in his purpose. Expect divine favor to draw opportunities to you, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. Favor means God's supernatural hand is at work on your behalf, moving you into positions you didn't earn, giving you access you didn't deserve, and positioning you in places of influence and impact. Favor is your inheritance as a child of God, and it will draw everything you need to fulfill his calling on your life. It's time to stop hesitating. It's time to move forward with boldness. God has called you to something greater, and he has given you the courage to step out in faith, speaking and acting in alignment with his purpose for your life. Boldness is the key to walking into your God-given destiny. To move forward with boldness, you have to know who you are in Christ. You have been chosen, equipped, and empowered by the Holy Spirit to fulfill the calling that God has placed on your life. You are not acting on your own strength, but on the authority of the Creator of the universe. When you speak with his authority. When you act with his power. But boldness isn't just about speaking loudly. It's about speaking truth in love and confidence, knowing that God's word in you has power. Boldness means speaking his promises over your life, over your family, over your future, even when the world around you tries to tell you otherwise. Boldness means standing firm in your faith, even when it seems like everything is against you. It's also about acting boldly. Faith without action is dead. James 2:26. And God is calling you to step out and take that first step, even when you don't see the entire staircase. Boldness means moving forward with the assurance that God is leading you, that he's already gone before you, and he will be with you every step of the way. You don't need to know all the details. You just need to trust that God is in control. When you speak and act in alignment with God's call on your life, you are aligning yourself with his will, and his will is always good, pleasing, and perfect. Romans 12:2. God has given you everything you need to fulfill his purpose. And as you speak and act boldly, you'll see his provision, favor, and blessings unfold in your life. So here's the challenge. Move forward confidently, speak boldly, act boldly, and walk in alignment with the divine flow of provision that God has already set before you. Trust that everything you need is already provided, and that divine favor is drawing opportunities and resources to you. And remember, boldness doesn't come from your own strength. It comes from knowing that God is with you, guiding you, and empowering you every step of the way. You are called to thrive, and as you walk in alignment with God's purpose, nothing can stop you. Now is the time to embrace your new identity. You are fully funded and supported by God. Every need, every dream, every step you take is covered by the Creator of the universe. You are no longer operating in scarcity, but in the abundance that comes from knowing that God is your provider, and He has already supplied everything you need. Your identity is no longer defined by what you lack, but by the endless provision of the one who holds the universe in his hands. Rest in the peace of knowing that the burden of provision is no longer yours to carry. You don't have to scramble, stress, or strive anymore. God has already provided for you. And as you walk in alignment with His will, His provision will follow you. You can rest in His promises, trusting that He is more than able to meet your needs and that He will provide everything necessary to fulfill your purpose. This is your invitation. Step boldly into your calling. Don't hesitate or second guess. The time has come to walk confidently, knowing that heaven is backing you every step of the way. God's favor, provision, and protection are on you, and you are equipped to do everything He has called you to do. There is no need to fear the future or question your next move, because God has already gone ahead of you. He's opening doors, making a way, and positioning you for greatness. Trust in God's timing, because His timing is perfect. Trust in His provision, because it will never fail you. Move forward without fear, knowing that God is in control. You are not alone, and you will never be abandoned. The God who called you is the God who provides for you, and He will always meet you where you're carrying you into the future. He's designed just for you. So step forward in boldness. Step into your new identity as someone fully funded, fully supported, and fully equipped by God. Trust His timing, trust His provision, and move forward boldly, knowing that heaven is backing you every step of the way. This is the life God has called you to, a life of abundance, purpose, and divine favor. It's time to walk in it